Kitunjan Dop in the northwest region of Cameroon, same time in Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Tragedy hits the St. Thomas neighborhood in the Douala 3 subdivision as two siblings aged 7 and 8 years old die after eating groundnut sweets they found on their way back from school. Some other kids who equally ate the snack are currently receiving medical assistance at the health facility. Away from that, lawyers representing hundreds of people arrested and detained following Cameroon's post-election crisis are sounding the alarm on alleged violations of illegal procedures and human rights abuses. The case was brought before the Yaoundé Military Tribunal today but was adjourned to February 12, 2025. Concerns are growing as detainees, including minors, have been held for over 2 months without trial. Those are top stories tonight. Good evening once more. This is the 6 p.m. edition of the news on Equinoxe television. Thank you so much for joining us. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Two siblings aged 7 and 8 years old have died after eating groundnut sweets they found on their way home from school in Douala St. Thomas neighborhood. Other kids who equally ate the same groundnut sweets are currently receiving medical care at a health facility in that part of the country. Siri Chakutio has more on this tragic story.
7-year-old Gonsop Bondi and 8-year-old Beredi Stefan, two children from the same family, tragically lost their lives. They were among the 11 individuals who suffered from food poisoning in the St. Thomas neighborhood Douala 3 subdivision.
L'enfant est rentré le dernier à la maison et a ramassé la bouteille de caramel.
According to this eyewitness, the two victims had eaten caramel, a substance they had collected on their way home from school. While the family was still trying to understand what had happened, the second child also developed similar symptoms.
Une heure plus tard, sa petite sœur a commencé à manifester. Avant d'arriver à l'hôpital, elle est décédée.
Rushed to the Cité de Palmiers District Hospital, he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries.
Il s'est mis à vomir. On court avec lui à Jean-Paul II. Arrivé là-bas, on lui met sous oxygène. Il disait qu'il...
As for the 9 other children exposed, their condition is currently stable according to medical sources.
9 autres enfants qui sont là présentement, on les a pris en charge et actuellement l'état des enfants est stable d'après les médecins.
The bodies of the two children were transferred to the village Milu Malumai in Ezeka in the central region for burial. This tragedy has plunged the family into complete sorrow and left an entire neighborhood in shock.
And now we talk something else. In the midst of the Anglophone crisis, the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, has been under attack severally. Over 15 hectares of CDC lands have been destroyed recently in Tico by some purported Muslims from Mutengene. They claim they destroyed the palms to build a mosque on over 59 hectares of land. Fomi Armstrong Sanda reports that managing the crisis has been daunting on CDC management, who insist land surrender must follow laid-down procedures by the government. Fomi Armstrong Sanda has more.
In the midst of unemployment in Cameroon, the second largest employer, the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, has been facing some difficulties with regards to land. Over 15 hectares of the city's land were recently destroyed at the Bota Palm Estate in Tico of the Fako Division. Franklin Gonenje, the general manager of the CDC, says it is appalling and the CDC lands must be protected.
There are two principal reasons why that area must be preserved. The first one is that it contains palm trees. Some 3 weeks ago, the state of Cameroon, represented by the Minister of Economy and Planning, signed a loan agreement wherein the state of Cameroon is engaging to construct a new oil mill and a new rubber factory for the CDC. On the other hand, the area that has been felled in Dongo, the palm trees there are on a piece of land that serves as a buffer to the banana plantations. The banana culture demands that an area, a buffer which is not inhabited, should be maintained between the plantation and human habitation. And in this case, these trees are in that buffer area. So if we fell the buffer area as it has been done, if we allow that area is built, it means that the banana that will be cultivated in the Dongo plantation, the area adjacent to that area, will not be qualified for sale in the European market because it will not get certification.
This land encroachment was carried out by a supposed Muslim community from Mutengene. They say that they need 59 hectares to construct a mosque and have already destroyed 15 hectares of palm trees, costing the CDC hundreds of millions of francs CFA.
A certain number of palm trees correspond to a certain number of jobs.
Muhammadu Isiaka says he is the chief of the Muslim community in Mutengene and says Muslims are not part of destruction in Tiko.
We, the Muslim community, will not even know anything about. So I'll be very surprised. What did the Muslim community get for do with 59 hectares? At least if we need the land, highest 2 or 3 or 5 hectares, it be sufficient for us.
According to the general manager, maintaining a peaceful environment for workers and still sail through attacks on the CDC land must be handled with tact by management.
Our country is a state of law. When it comes to legal issues, the speed may not be what we expect.
The issue of land surrender by the CDC to the locals has a defined procedure from government which must be strictly respected before land is ceded for any purpose. As an employer of thousands of Cameroonians, encroaching or tampering with CDC lands and perturbing activities can have adverse consequences on those who depend on the CDC for their livelihoods.
And the destruction of CDC palms and land encroachment is causing fear among workers of the CDC, especially the laborers. They say if things continue this way, many of them risk losing their jobs, which is their only source of livelihood. Femi Armstrong Sana once more spoke with some of the workers in the Bota Palm Estate in Tiko and now tells us more.
At the Bota Palm Estate of the CDC, workers expressed shock and disappointment. Their jobs, they say, have been threatened by those who are destroying palm trees.
I live in the camp here. On Friday at about 4 p.m. in the afternoon, a group of people came from the native. They were just doing felling here without our knowings. So we all were very surprised. Friday, on Saturday, they still came again. The same thing was going on. So we struggled to make a peaceful demonstration, but to no avail. So we are not happy with the operation that is taking place.
They say that it is from the proceeds of their jobs from the plantations that they are able to take care of their families.
We work in the CDC to feed our family. Our fathers, our mothers that have worked before. So we are now to plan for the children that are still more, they are coming more. Now they have given us a new meal. Now they are felling the trees. I don't know where we have to harvest the crop and meet the fruit.
If people are just coming and they are felling the palms, we don't know where we are going. And then from this one now, it is like if they are sending back us to the village.
The over 15 hectares of land destroyed can force management into retrenchment, and some workers can risk losing their jobs permanently.
Because it's from the plantation that we have been struggling to see what we can do with our children. We are even managing to send them to school because that's where we got our daily bread.
It is not just the fact that somebody has lost their income to take care of themselves and their families, but it is also creating a social problem. And I think that this country has enough of social problems to grapple with. Sending more people into unemployment is, it's unacceptable.
The affected workers want the government of Cameroon to intervene and stop the intruders so their jobs can be protected.
Green government, we are begging, we are pleading that you people should help us, hear our cry. Give us, CDC, they need more lands.
We are pleading that government should come in and do something so that we should see the way forward. We have just from constructing or receiving a new mini meter have been constructed. If the pumps are going down, then what do they expect us to do?
According to the general manager of the Cameroon Development Corporation, encroachment can cost the organizations billions of francs CFA. It is not the first time jobs at the Cameroon Development Corporation are being threatened by land encroachment perpetrated by local inhabitants or indigents.
And over to one of our major lead stories tonight. Lawyers of hundreds of persons arrested and detained in connection with the post-election crisis in Cameroon have raised concerns about the non-respect of legal procedures and the violation of their rights. After over 2 months of detention, the accused were before the Yaoundé Military Court today, but the matter was adjourned to February 12, 2025. Babila Jonathan has greater details. Sorry for that technical issue. We come back to that report in a subsequent news edition. Now we take you out of Cameroon, precisely in Burkina Faso, where the military government has foiled a plot to assassinate President Captain Ibrahim Traoré, allegedly masterminded by his predecessor, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba. The plot, which involved attacking key institutions and civilian personalities, was intercepted by intelligence services and civil arrests have been made. The security minister, Mohamedou Sana, claims the plot was funded by neighboring Ivory Coast, which has denied involvement. Traoré, 37 years old, has faced multiple coup attempts and jihadist violence. Critics accuse him of authoritarianism and suppressing dissent. The situation is said to be under control with investigations currently ongoing. Now we take you away from Burkina Faso, we take you to Ivory Coast, where the government has formally resigned, paving the way for a new cabinet after the ruling RHDP party's landslide victory in the legislative election, securing over 75% of parliamentary seats. President Alassane Ouattara accepted the resignation on January 7th, with the new cabinet expected to be announced by the end of the month. Despite the change, major shifts aren't anticipated, as most ministers were elected as lawmakers and would likely be reappointed. The outgoing government will handle day-to-day affairs until the new cabinet is formed. Ouattara urged his team to accelerate development projects and improve living conditions for Ivorians, citing strong public support for election results. Key appointments are now in focus, including a new National Assembly Speaker and possibly a Vice President. And away from that, we'll talk sports. Some hours to the clash between the Atlas Lions of Morocco and Indomitable Lions in the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations. There is a mad rush for the Indomitable Lions' new kitwear for the competition. Civil supporters who had given up hopes are now rushing for the jerseys, while in Morocco, a reporter Smaji Kangable caught up with the brain behind the new Lions kitwear, Fred Siwe. His report.
The success story of the Indomitable Lions at the AFCON in Morocco has made many fans to get their own pair of new set of jersey produced by the Lions kit manufacturer.
14 is thinking now. The way we think in 14 is not like the way another company think. That's why when this competition arrived, we decided that how can we make sure that Cameroonian people, because of a jersey, we love their national team. That's the way we decided to bring together many designers together from Italy, from Spain, from Cameroon, who inspire all the team, to bring out this idea, to make that Cameroonian people around the world just be happy for one jersey, the new federation jersey.
Before now, many had criticized the jersey for being expensive, but it is gaining grounds with many rushing for it. At Agadir, Marrakech or Rabat, the mad rush for the new kitwear of the Lions has increased.
We make people happy. Cameroonians are happy. because of the new jersey. Everybody is proud. They are moved around Morocco, around Cameroon, around the world with the new jersey. People are saying that Cameroonian jersey is nice. Yes, that means we are proud now because we make it happen. For sure that the jersey, let people continue to buy, to wear it, you know, make us Cameroonian again became very proud for football.
Many are now of the opinion that the best jersey of the tournament is that of Cameroon.
We are satisfied for the work who is done. We are really satisfied for the work. Also what Indomitable Lions are doing to make sure that this initiative, this new jersey, take the world, you know. Then we are happy. The team of 14 are happy. The way is long. We are going far together to write this history.
Cameroon will take on host Morocco in a crunch quarter-final game on Friday at the Rabat Stadium.
Smart Jikangebe reporting from Morocco. Away from that, from Dokbasi to Lokpom, via Bipan and Makepe, the same picture emerges: filth. In Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, trash is winning, slowly turning the city into an open dump. Faced with this persistent issue, images speak for themselves. Watch, observe, and draw your own conclusions. Stay with us for the second part of the news, where we'll be telling you more about the dirty state of several streets in the city of Douala and many parts of Cameroon. Talking Point comes up next. My guest tonight is TABI BEYINA Jean-Marie. He is a waste management expert. Good evening. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Dear viewers, thank you to the invitation. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me here. I'm so glad to be here tonight.
TABI BEYINA, how will you rate the state of hygiene in Cameroon, considering the widespread presence of waste on streets and major junctions? I guess you just watched the images, the no comment images.
Thank you for the questions. You know, it is a major factor in our nation today, which waste management and all the dirtiness that we see around. So it is really a problem. And I believe that we need to have a close look on the situation and see what to do in order to ameliorate things.
Now, it's no news that our towns and cities are very dirty, but who should be blamed for this situation?
This is not a problem where we have to blame one person or another, but all of us are responsible to what is going on. because you will not expect somebody to come and take care immediately or personally to a problem that you can handle in your house or in your home, talking of waste management. So it is also a governmental problem. Why? Because we have some stakeholders that are really implicated in managing, the population, and they have what it takes, talking of finances, talking of mechanism, in order to regulate a certain aspect of life.
Now, from your explanation, it is clear that it's a shared blame. However, there is a concerning level of incivility with some citizens throwing trash on the ground despite the presence of trash cans. How do you address this mindset?
We have to understand that, first of all, this is an African way of living. When we think that we have no rules, no regulations, we are just on our own, it is really wrong. So the fact that we have so many urban disorders around here and there, where people, they behave anyhow as if there is no rule and regulation, it is wrong. So we want to start by calling on the attention of each and every one of us Cameroonians to be conscious of the fact that this problem of sanitation and hygiene is our entire responsibility. So therefore, we want to ameliorate our way of thinking by thinking responsibility, because you will not cry for help when that help is far. If you yourself, you have your brain, you have your hands, you have your legs, and you can do something. So I believe strongly that if each and every one of us think personally that he is first of all a major actor on the current situation, we will have clean cities, we will have clean homes, and we will have clean quarters.
Now, while blaming the population for failing to carry out their own duty, we are equally blaming the government for failing woefully in addressing this problem. You can't expect people to keep waste in their homes indefinitely. How do you expect them to dispose of it properly in such a context?
I said it earlier ago, it is first of all a problem of mentality. We need to revise our mentalities. We need to sensitize the population. We need to train them on safe manners of living. Just like I just said, we can sort waste in our homes. Some of us, we think that what we call trash or waste are just useless things. No, but we can give them a second chance of living. That's why we can implement the sorts of weights on the or in the source. By so doing, you will have plastics here, papers there, iron the other side, and then you will easily know who is the actor or which actor can easily handle what. So I believe that by so doing, it will ameliorate the situation.
But don't you think it's going to be very difficult in the case or the context of Cameroon? Because talking about sorting of waste, we are very used to having one bag that carries almost all the waste in Cameroon. So that is going to definitely be a very major tax for the population at this point in time. Now, let's look at another aspect. What about food vendors selling close to garbage piles, putting people's health at risk? You can see tomatoes, cabbages, fruits that we often buy in our markets being sold close to this trash. How are Cameroonians coping with this situation at this moment?
You have to bear it with me that most of those sales food vendors are informal. Most of them, they are not recognized. So the Cameroonian government, or let me just say the administration, cannot allow somebody that will go and be selling food that will endanger the population. So the first thing that we need to do is to take them to consider all those food sellers, the informals one, and ameliorate their condition. If they can have all their documents, if they can have a kind of technical formula or a fish technique that will help them to know how to deal with what they are selling, where they can sell it better, and to whom they have to sell it. I think that by so doing, we will not affect the growth of a site of a population, because we have to notice that most of those food sellers, they are doing it to feed their families, they are doing it to send their children to school. So we cannot really stop them from doing it, but we can amend their ways of doing it for more sanities in the society.
Now, how can we amend their ways? What are the practical steps that can be taken to improve hygiene and safety in these markets?
Services in our mairies, in our municipalities, we have services. Some of them, they are called hygiene, service, and environment. So I think this is fully their responsibility to take care of those kinds of situations by putting others in the market. We have those people that they call the registered du marché. We have them, and you know them very well. So I believe that if those registered, they can do their works, we will not have some certain situations in our market, because that situation does not only affect us, the population, it also affects those sellers or those people that are doing that kind of trading on the floor. Because you bear it with me that there are some of them that some trucks will jam them there, you know, they will have some kinds of evitable accidents and so on and so forth.
Talking about the role expected to be played by the council, you really talk about the market master, who go about sometimes collecting billions of francs CFA from Cameroonians in markets and other areas as hygiene and sanitation taxes. But the situation seems to worsen on a daily basis. What's stopping the government from doing their job, not just well, but very well?
What is stopping them from doing their job well? This is a very sensitive question, but I will try to answer it by saying there are so many of them that are really neglectful. Why? Because I believe in the power of the mayors in the various municipalities. I believe in the budget that are allocated, or in the budgets that are allocated to each and every one of those municipalities to handle such cases. So I believe that if those budgets are being managed well and in an efficient way, we will have a befitting management of our markets with all the mechanisms that followed it.
Your master's thesis explored domestic waste management as a source of wealth creation in Douala. How can waste management be transformed from a burden to an opportunity for economic growth and job creation in this nation?
Well, this is a question that is really on time, because this is a global concern, waste management and waste valorization. So we can valorize waste into many stuffs. We can transform our waste, talking of the plastics, of the papers, the iron, and so on and so forth, by giving them another nature. We can make bio-charcoal. This is a charcoal that is made with some organic waste. You will see some of our forests are being exterminated just because they are using the wood to make the charcoal, and we cannot stop people from using the charcoal. That is where we can cook and do so many things. So we believe that we can also make the charcoal by transforming some organic waste into it, and that one is even better because it does not pollute as the firewood charcoal. We can also make biofertilizers that are made also with some organic waste. We can transform the plastics into pavers, we can make biogas, which is also essential in a lifespan of a home. So I think that those are the little things, because we might not have enough time to elaborate on all those products, but there are quite a number of products that can come out from waste management.
TABI BEYINA Jean-Marie, waste management expert based right here in the city of Douala. Thank you so much for your time. And it's on that note that we put a cap to tonight's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for always choosing us. Stay in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe TV. Bye-bye for now.